Okay, so we managed to move from the firewall threat defense to the ASA image. And the reason why we did that was I wanted to upgrade the ROMMON. I already did it, but I just want to show you how I did it. As you can see here, we are running firmware version 1.1.18. And when you actually want to move the ASA to the firewall threat defense platform, you need to be on a certain version. And that is something that you need to do before you actually move it from the ASA to the FTD. You need to look in the notes on cisco.com on which version is supported for your platform. But as far as I remember, I need to be on 1.1.12. And I actually was, but I upgraded it to the FTD. But I also wanted it to upgrade this firmware. And I had no way of doing that in the FTD platform or the CLI. I just didn't know how to find that command that's transferred from the FTP to the disk. So I actually converted it. I did that in another video. I converted it back to ASA because then I know that the copy FTP to flash is actually working. So this is what we're going to do today, and I will just find the image for that. So what we're going to do is obviously again check that we have connectivity to our FTP server, and we do have that. I'm just going to copy the firmware. I do have it prepared, so you don't need to type in all these letters. It's still the same FTP, and this is the source. Yeah, and you might just check this SAH SHA-2 fingerprint to see if it's the same one. That is actually ensure integrity that your file is valid and it hasn't been tampered with. So what we're going to do now is just upgrade the ROMMON with the firmware that we placed on the disk. We can actually just see what is on the disk before we do that. Just make sure that this is the one that we want. I'm not sure what it's going to do, because if we show module, it's actually already running this firmware. I had to do that initially at another time. So, but I just wanted to show you what it's like when we do this. So let's see what it's going to do. Verification successful. It's just going to take you through the steps that it's going to do. And it's actually accepted the firmware even though it's already running that firmware. So, bit of surprise. I actually suspected it to say that you are already running this firmware, so no need to upgrade. And here we go. We can actually see that the current version active is 1.1.18 and we are upgrading to 1.1.18. But of course we just told it. It shouldn't matter. And it's just going to boot up a couple of times just to upgrade the ROMMON. So now we have rebooted into the new ROMMON upgrade, and it's actually working. We have a running config. We can still ping the TFTP server. So what we're going to do now is just like, I wanted to move it from the ASA software to the firewall threat defense software. And before we did that, we need actually to make sure that the firmware is running a certain version. So that's what I wanted to show you, how we upgraded the ROMMON. You should be able to see it somewhere. Let me just see here. For my appliance. This here is the ASA 16X, and I wanted to do this release because it's the newest one. What you actually need is going to the Cisco ASA 5500X with Firewire services, and then you need to locate the specific appliance. And if I wanted, we can find the software for the ASA here. So this is the package that I got, and this is the boot image. So we need to upgrade the boot image and throw on the package. I already downloaded this, and they should be located on my FTP server. We can just check that. Let's see here. Let me just put this up here for you, so we can see that this is the same images that are there. FTD 002, 702, 88 package, and the FTD boot image 9.16.3.11 IFBFF. So that should be good. I'm just going to show you, actually, because there is a requirement when you are upgrading or moving the ASA to the firewall threat defense platform. And it was a little tricky to find it, but I managed to do that when I just Google it here. 5516X default firmware when upgrading to FTD, and it led me to the Cisco Press here, and it's actually down here somewhere. It's gonna tell me that when you are moving the ASA to the firewall threat defense, it's just going to take you through the steps here, but what we need to make sure is that there is a prerequisite for this. It should be somewhere here. Yeah, upgrading the firmware. If you plan to re-image the low-end ASA hardware model shortcuts, and this is in case my platform, you need to have the firmware on 1.1.8 or greater. And that's what we did. We upgraded it to 1.1.18, so we should be good now. But this is something that you need to be aware of, because otherwise nobody can say what will happen. You may end up with an appliance that is not working at all, or you need to do it all over again. So to move it again into the firewall threat defense platform, I need to reboot it into ROMMON again. So we are back into ROMMON, and now I need to transfer the firmware or the boot image that we're gonna need to run. Just see here, you're just gonna need again where and how our appliance working now that we are booted into ROMMON still have the address that I gave it earlier, and the server for the TFTP is the correct one, but it's the wrong image, because this is the one that was moving for the FTD to the ASA software. So what we're gonna need, it should be an equal sign, and not what I was trying to do here. That is not correct. That's how it is. So now we're just going to type in here setup. We can just give it another name. I would prefer to call it it's just going to take us through the initial steps on don't want the secondary. I don't want to search domains or anything. And we can do the NTP service, but I'm preferring to disable this for now, and I can always change it later. Okay, yeah, so it's we will need to download the actually firewall threat defense OS, and the way we're going to do that is again using the FTP, and I know it's located here, so, and the package is the other one that we downloaded from Cisco. This here is just going to take a while, and we're just going to let it run. I'm going to speed up the video for a bit. So it's downloaded the actual package and the firmware, or the FTD software, and it's what is populating the new system image. I'm just gonna speed it up because it's gonna take maybe 35-40 minutes to do that. And we finished. So we can log in with the default password and username, which is admin, and admin with a capital A123. And it's gonna take us through the initial setup as well. We need to agree to the license. Do you want to manage this device locally? Yes or no? So you have the option to configure it by a HTTPS session directly, but we wanted to add it to a firewall management center. So we're just going to type in no here. And this is actually the recommended way of managing your firewall. But it's going to take some further steps to add this to the firewall management center. I did set it up. And you obviously have the same possibility to make it a routed or transparent mode. I'm gonna do it routed because I don't have a big large network where I need to reconfigure my IP address. So just do notice that Cisco call the appliance a sensor. So this is actually our firewall that is a sensor now, and that you need to add that to the firepower management center. But that is going to be in another video. What we can see here now that we have actually upgraded FTD. What we can see here is that this is limited. See what we have a show network. And you can see the actually system information is here. What we need to make a note of also is that the BR1 is our management network. The funny thing is, like, actually that I'd only have management interface connected. I don't have the inside or the outside interface connected as well, or yet. So whenever I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna try and ping my gateway for the internet, and it's just gonna say no root. I have two options now. I can actually ping system, because then I'm telling the firewall that, or the sensor, that you're gonna ping for the management interface. Or we can go into expert mode. And now we're gonna see like a Linux fire shell. This is actually the expert shell. You can ping from here, and we can see that we have connectivity. So this is just one way to not be confused and not thinking, oh, I made a mistake somewhere. Is either ping system or go into the experts shell and do it from there. Now we're back. So we have upgraded the ASA to FTD. We are finished now. What is left for you to do now is adding it to the Firepower Management Center, but that will be in another video. So see you in the next video.